A tax notice that is now reaching across borders. And this time, it is not just local companies under scanner, it is NRI and offshore investors. Welcome to TimesXP's Indian Diaspora section, and India's Income Tax Department has started asking very tough questions. Not one, not two, but detailed explanations about investments made in unlisted shares. And the message is clear: show us where the money came from and how you value these shares. In fact, over the past few weeks, multiple notices have been sent out targeting non-resident Indians and offshore firms. In fact, the focus is on deals that are between 2019 to 2023. But why now, and why the sudden scrutiny? Let's talk about that. This is happening because a major change is coming into effect. All private companies have been asked to convert their shares into demat form by June 2025. And this changes everything, because once shares are dematerialized, sanctions become easier to track. Well, hidden deals, complex structures, and layered investments all start becoming more visible. So the tax department has gone back in time, digging into past transactions, checking who invested, how much they paid, and whether the price actually made sense or not. Well, this is where the things are getting serious. If shares were bought at price lower than their fair value, it could trigger tax action, right? But if they were bought at a very high premium, then that raises another red flag here. Because high premiums can sometimes indicate something deeper, like concern of money laundering or round-tripping of funds, where money goes out of the country and quickly comes back in. And this is exactly what the authorities are now trying to uncover. Who is the real investor? Who benefits from these deals? And what is the actual source of fund? The questions being asked, they are extremely detailed. Well, investors are being asked to submit their bank statements, valuation report, board meeting record, and even details about directors and their background. In fact, in some cases, even more uncomfortable questions are being raised. Why was no income tax return filed? What is the relationship between the NRI and the offshore company? And here's the twist. Many NRIs usually do not file tax return in India, specifically if they have no direct income here. But now, because demat accounts require a PAN, they are coming into the system's visibility. Well, here tax experts, they are advising one thing very clearly, that do not ignore these notices. Respond quickly. In fact, provide documents and explain every step of the transaction, because the law itself, it has changed. Earlier, tax officers could indirectly reopen cases, right? Now, under Section 14(8)(a), they must first ask the questions and then they will decide whether to proceed further or not. But even this process, it can become complicated, specifically when investment comes through the global funds or offshore pooling structure. Experts say that providing the source of fund, it is already difficult, but now authorities are asking for the source of the source. And this is where things are getting trickier. Imagine a global investment fund with hundreds of investors. Tracing each layer and each contributor is not always practical, right? And yet scrutiny is increased, specifically for investments coming from regions like UAE or tax havens, where valuation differences are often under sharper focus. Well, in the end, the bigger picture is getting clear. This is not just routine tax checking. This is a deep investigation into how money moves across borders, across entities, and into the Indian companies. Because once shares go digital, well, transparency increases, and with transparency comes accountability. For the investors, the message is simple but serious. Every transaction, every valuation, every rupee, well, it may now need a clear explanation, because in today's tax environment, nothing stays hidden for a long time.